Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
With your hosts, Scott Smokin Silz and Brad Baumruck.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
All right, what's up, everybody? It is Monday, and this is the Ref Room. I am Scott Smokin Silz, joined by my partner in crime here, Mr. Brad Baumruck, and our very special guest today, Joe Pops Prescott, who is returning. Welcome back, Joe. Glad to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to see everybody out there. I hope we have a big crowd today.
Yeah.
And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Very cool. I even put the green lights on for you in the background, Joe, so I hope you appreciate that. You know, I know Joe likes his green.
I do like my green. You got it.
I'm gonna buy a bunch of Christmas lights and just throw them up on the wall, Scott. Just
perfect.
To have you
Perfect. You'll have a background. You know, you won't look like you're in the witness protection program. That'd be perfect. Matter of fact, we'll put you in the witness protection program right now. Here, you know, we'll put some special effects on. Oh, that's Joe.
Well, that's
Sorry,
Joe.
We're putting Joe in. Let's put Brad in witness protection program there. Now he's blurred out, so you can't tell who he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. We're in the middle of hockey season. It's crazy. Everybody's. I don't know about you. I mean, I feel great, but by the end of the weekend, it's been a long weekend. That's all I can say. You know, glad to be skating. You know, that means
Lots
I
of
get to
games
lose
out
like
there.
an inch around the waist, hopefully, without the late night snacks, and you know, life is good, right? How about you, Joe? You've been skating every day?
Well, not every day, but the weekends are pretty full. Absolutely. Yeah. I have to say that I took a little nap today after going to the doctor, and it's no matter what age you are, this time of year is the time of year where the legs get a little tired, the back gets a little stiff. I don't care what age you are, you're skating, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a few times during the week, and that's why, you know, today we have a lot to cover because now is a very good time for all of us to refocus. And this is something we should all be talking about. You know, we have time. Hopefully we're arriving for games on time. And we have time afterwards to talk about things that we all need to refocus and review. As I've said, you know, I understand now that times have changed, that in Illinois, the huge spectacular that happens the first week in November, the Invitational Tournament, is takes away a lot of the luster from the Thanksgiving time. But for 50 years in Illinois hockey, Thanksgiving was the time when, you know, really hockey kicked off. You know, yes, there were games played before, but Thanksgiving and the Thanksgiving weekend was a huge time. The Loyola tournament was absolutely the premier hockey tournament in Illinois. And the night before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday, for years, Glenbrook North, Glenbrook South would play, and you'd have a minimum of 40 officials. Sometimes you'd have as many as 60, 70 guys there, plus the guys, you know, doing the game. And afterwards, we'd all go out and talk about hockey, and you know, like pilots. You ever see, you know, pilots talking, you know, with their hands and stuff? You'd have again 40 or 50 guys, 60, 70 guys sometimes, all at the same pub, talking hockey. You know, obviously the National Hockey League always starts the first week in October. By this time, you know, you're a month and a half in, so everybody would be talking about how the league was going and who was hot and who was not, and how the Blackhawks were doing, obviously, and people from other areas, you know, their favorite team. Everybody knows I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, so I was always full of what was coming out of Quebec, you know, the news from there. But with officiating, this was always a time where guys would also be able to say, you know, God, you know what I'm having trouble with, or, you know, I've had this situation, and everybody would work together to refocus for the big weekend, which was Thanksgiving, and then continuing on in the season. Because, you know, you get by Thanksgiving, and sure, we have a Christmas tournament, but sooner or later we hit, you know, January very quickly. And as I used to, as I used to tell the kids when I was supervising, you know, everybody wants to officiate the whatever levels they can in August and September. Everybody wants to officiate. Everybody wants to get out there and do every high level game they can and every tournament, whatever. But you know, give me the guys that are motivated in January and the first, you know, when it's cold and you're tired and you know, caught a few shots on the elbow and a couple on the side of the knee. You know, yeah, give me the guys that are motivated and ready to go in January. And we're real close to that. We get by Thanksgiving, we run into December, and then boom, we hit January, that long stretch of amateur hockey where there's all sorts of games to be played, and there'll be games canceled with snow or other problems, and then you'll have to pick up some other games to get those games played before league tournaments and state tournaments happen in February. So this was always a prime time for guys to get together and talk about their officiating, bring up questions on rules, and also ask, how can I do something better? I have to tell you, you know, whether it's in Wisconsin or here, and last year I got over to Michigan and Iowa, you know, we have to be honest. You know, we have a lot of guys that are solid. We have a lot of guys that are good amateur officials, and sadly, we have a lot of guys that go by the good enough. You know, well, that's good enough. Well, I don't know how they handle their work careers or their family careers, but I'm going to be very, very clear here. Good enough is never effing good enough. And if you're just going along that's good enough, believe me, you're going to get hurt, or the players are going to get hurt, or both. Something bad's going to happen if you're going along saying, well, that's good enough. It's not good enough. In the National Hockey League, the greatest players on the planet, every single team has a strength and conditioning coach and has a skating coach. The greatest hockey players on the planet review their skating and review their stride, review their knee bend, ankle flex. They're looking at that in the National Hockey League. So for any amateur official that's listening to this, or anyone you want to talk to, if you think your skating is good enough, it's not. You know, the guys in the National Hockey League are looking at it all the time. And all of us always need to work on our skating, so that we can be better officials, but also, the better you are at your skating, the more flexible you are, the safer you are, the more you can really enjoy this. And so it's a great time to, you know, really look at all of that. Do you have that,
You know,
do you have that
funny enough, actually, Joe.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I said, funny enough today, actually, that you're talking about, like, people talking about things. In the past, like, 2 days, I bet you I've had, like, 10 people call me and, like, 15 others shoot me text messages. And that seems to be the case always at this time of year. And I think it's just because as we're going, and it does get into these starting of the dog days, you know, more better teams start playing each other and odd things happen along the way. So people are looking for an answer or support. So, hey, my big thing is I always try to get back to everybody. And, you know, I think any referee in the community, if you ask them for their opinion, they're going to give it to you. And I think everybody can learn something from everybody because, yeah, I might be really good at one-liners and stuff like that, but there's some other referees in the area that are really good at being the strict totalitarian on the ice. And sometimes you have to do that when you're officiating. And to be able to pick their brain, I think, is always a good thing. So I agree with you on the sharing of ideas and speaking about things when you have a chance. And the bad part is, like, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, there never used to be any other games. So you would have everybody at that GBS GBN game. Well, now there's a lot of other games, so it's kind of dwindled down because the referees that would be normally at that meeting, I think are skating. I think that's the only problem that's happened. There's just such a great amount of hockey now in Chicago. It's a lot, and I think it limits it to an extent.
Well, we do have a lot of the rivalry games right before Thanksgiving. I know Deerfield Highland Park has been a big one over the years. But what other ones do we have? I mean, obviously it'd be like Loyola and New Trier Green. But do we have a date where we actually like put up all the rivalry games? If we do, we don't really talk about it that much. So
no.
Yeah.
No, but
no, there's just more games that Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of stuff we want to cover today because Joe has been kind enough to provide some videos for us, and we're going to do a little learning as well. So where do you want to start, Joe? Did you want to start with the Schlitz commercial?
Oh, yeah, let's start with that.
All right, we'll start with this, okay? And then we're coming right back, okay? We're going to start.
Let's have a Schlitz. 1,174 brewing steps make Schlitz the most carefully brewed beer in the world. Schlitz, please. Sorry, just ran out. When you're out of Schlitz, unsportsmanlike, you're out of beer.
Yeah, I know. Joe had a reason for this because we have a couple of Chicago legends. Why don't you explain that to him, Joe?
All right, and you know, in that clip, the official is Peter Moffat. And without Peter Moffat and Chet Stewart, you don't have an Illinois Hockey Officials Association. They were the ones that, you know, started everything. My first rule book was an NHL rule book that crossed off, you know, the fighting section, and in the back with a rubber stamp was Chet and Peter's phone numbers for Illinois hockey. And for the first 2 years, those were the rule books we used. And Peter Moffat was an outstanding official. Worked in the National Hockey League, and also worked in the World Hockey Association.
And ran Rainbow Arena, where we grew up.
And ran Rainbow Arena, and he's in the Illinois Hockey Hall of Fame. Also in that clip, a name that very few people know, but Matt Sharina.
Legend.
Matt Sharina was a coach, and he officiated and was involved in hockey in Illinois for a good 40 years. Scotty knows him. I know him very
Great
well.
guy. Great guy. I knew his son, too. I played hockey with his son, Matty.
Yeah.
And, you know, he ran Saddle and Cycle at the time. Saddle and Cycle nowadays is the Stallions. The program is still around. It's just developed from Saddle and Cycle, and they become the Stallions. And I think the River Dogs grew out of that. There's a couple other organizations that came out of there from Chicago as well. But the main thing was Saddle and Cycle to Stallions. And Matt was a big part of that for many, many, many years. You know, he took it over, I think, from Bill McKenna, Mac McKenna, who was a minor hawk coach for many years and just a legendary coach. I played for him at a number of organizations, minor hawks, Lake Forest, and Junior Cougars. I think I played 3 organizations for Mac because, you know, I was his goalie and he took me wherever he went. So.
And for people that don't know, you know, Rainbow Arena, there were so many people that had their roots there. And Bill McKenna taught my learn to play hockey class with Peter Moffat in '67.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure a lot of people listening today, they weren't even born, you know.
Right. We're taking them back today. A little bit of history here. But let's proceed because we are going to. Oh, you get your hand up, Brad?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're supposed to
Brad,
turn it in and put your fingers together.
Born.
Okay. Yeah.
Not only was he not
born.
it was still a few decades before he was born. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so
all right.
Moving on. Let's start off with, you know, the game in general. Amateur hockey today, and I see this, and I'm sure you guys see it. And Brad, now that you're the referee in chief, something I don't understand that at the seminars isn't just clearly stated. Every single rule book from the National Hockey League, International Hockey, the NCAA, Hockey Canada, USA Hockey, every single rule book has a standard of play section. Now, they don't all say the same, they all have different sections that they're emphasizing, but every official should be very clear on this. And that's the thing is, call it. Call it early, call it clearly, especially injury potential penalties. Every single amateur team works on their special teams. We're not in 1980 anymore. We're not in 1990 anymore. You don't have to select penalties. I am not talking about interference, half a hook, half a hold, too many bloody players on the ice. I'm talking about high sticks, high hits, guys hitting in the numbers, guys whacking the goaltender when they shouldn't be whacking the goaltender when the puck's covered. I go back to this all the time. Guys that have a big problem in a game, and you look at the score sheet. In the first period, we have a trip and interference. And then the second period, we don't have anything until halfway through. And then, 2 and 10, 2 and 10, 2 and 10, misconduct. And in the third period, we have all sorts of stuff, and now the coach is gone. And I'm sorry, 99% of the time, that's the official's fault. Because in the first period, that's the time to set the pace. Now the period ends, the coaches have time to tell the kids, look, these guys are calling this, stop doing it. And especially with the hits where they don't know that they're coming. USA Hockey, NCAA, the National Federation, even the National Hockey League is penalizing people that are hitting people in a vulnerable situation.
Brother, you tap a stick in the National Hockey League, you're sitting for a slash. I kid you not. It's a different way of life there, trust me.
Yeah. So you just put across to everybody
Different
that we're
skill of players
refocusing.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
just a little bit.
Yeah. But as we're refocusing, whatever level you're doing, if you're doing the ACHA here locally, or you're doing all the high school and the AAA, or hey, if you're out there doing little kids, call stuff early, especially the vulnerable hits, and especially when the goaltender has the puck and somebody goes in and whacks them or jabs at them. They don't do that in practice. They don't whack their own goalie in practice when they have the puck covered. That's it. Yeah. And if we do that, believe me, we'll have a much better run to the end of the season.
Let's look at some of the things that we wanted to talk about, because we were going to talk about face-offs and positioning. We're going to talk about some of the things that a lot of the newer officials are a little bit confused on, and some things that even some of the established officials are confused about, and that is, with regard to puck location after a whistle, because I see a lot of that, especially if you're out evaluating and you're watching a lot of these games. You're seeing some confusion as to location. If you have an offsides where the face-off should take place, if you have a puck that's shot in where the face-off should take place, versus if you have a situation where puck is shot and then it's loose and then it's frozen from a different position. So I guess those are the ones that are kind of confusing for a lot of the newer officials and even some of the officials that have been around for a while. You want to cover some of that stuff, Brad or Joe?
Well, let's we've talked about game management and setting a standard. Before we get into those situations, let's go to the face-off.
Okay.
Just the face-off. All right. First off, everybody. All right. And if you're working with somebody that is doing this, please talk about it in the locker room. Everybody. When you have the face-off and you're blowing the whistle is indicating that we're dropping the puck in 5 seconds or less. you're not blowing the whistle when the players have gathered or are lining up. You're blowing that way before. And believe me, when you're consistent, they'll start to scoot up and line up. And also for your own safety, we have guys, lots of guys, that are waiting until they're all lined up. They're blowing the whistle and dropping the puck. And this thing here, the whistle, is right near their face. And they're going to catch a stick.
Yep.
And unless you have an oral surgeon on retainer, that's going to be an awfully icky injury when you get the stick. If you know, the first thing we've got to get on the same page is if you're working in a 3 official or 4 official system, the referee does the line change. When that arm drops, the whistle blows. The whistle indicates the line change procedure has been completed. We're dropping the rock in 5 seconds.
So I want to just interject. What you just said there is very important. And if you're new to working the 3-man system or the 4-man system, it's not up to you to lollygag and look around and everything else. You should be focused on that referee when his arm comes down, that whistle gets hammered. And a lot of guys don't do that. They do not pay attention. That is your job as a linesman if you are dropping the puck, to hammer that whistle when the referee puts his hand down. And why do we put that? Why do we hammer that whistle? Because if you don't hammer that whistle and a coach decides to make a line change at that point, which is going to create a problem for the official, it's your fault. Brad?
Yeah, well, that's...
Yeah,
Want to say something?
There's definitely another benefit to it. If you're putting that arm down and you're getting that play and that game moving again, there's a lot of benefit to it, because what do players do when there's a stoppage? They chat at each other and they say things to each other and they
Create
tick each
problems.
other off, and you can have more problems.
Yeah.
Yep, because of a stoppage, just because you're there screwing around for an extra 5 seconds when you could have totally avoided. You could have gotten through it, you know. And I'm a referee that I communicate very well with the benches, so hey, my line changes are faster because I know if they're done or not. Because most coaches start winking at you, waving you, nodding their head,
You
something,
get a nod.
and then
They'll give you the nod if they know you're
you just
looking
keep
and pay
moving.
attention. That's right. They will give you that nod, and you're on to better things, and that means the puck is down, and that's less problems for everybody.
Right.
All right.
And with this thing here, that in a 3 or 4 official, if you're working the 2 official system, you still have to get to the correct face-off location. You know, the kids are coming. I'm sorry. Even in the National Hockey League this time of year, there's very few coaches that are waiting and matching lines. All right? Even at that level right now. Most of the time, the next 5 are jumping over the boards. They already know who they are. So these kids are coming on the ice. You blow that whistle, believe me, they're going to come quicker. And now, I understand the second period, you might want to give them 1 extra second. But you see them on the ice, you blow that whistle, they're going to come. And now you've blown the whistle, and you have the whistle away from your face, so you're covered there.
Well, let's look at the face-off positioning, Joe. Let's play the video. Do you want me to play the video once, and we'll come back and talk?
Yeah, please.
All right. So
Yeah,
let's
please.
look at a face-off.
Okay. So here again, what you're seeing is the official is using his forearm to drop the puck. Now watch here, the knee bend. The knee bend. Now, of course, this official is presenting the puck for those places that present the puck. But the key thing in here is bend your knees first. Don't bend at the waist. All right? You want to have as much knee bend as possible. Look at this side view. The first thing that happens is the knees bend and then the butt comes down. All right? Now, this is more of a professional level, college level, federation level face-off because you present the puck. But even if you're not presenting the puck in USA hockey games, you need to bend the knees first and not bend at the waist. We have way too many guys that their face is in the face-off because their head and shoulders come forward. See, in this position here, the shoulders are over the knees or over the ball of the foot. That's what you want to have. Even if you're a little bit higher, you want to have the shoulders, knee, ball of the foot alignment, and you don't want to have that face closer to the face off. If you bend at the waist, your face is going to be closer to the face off. And this is very key because when you bend correctly, your MCLs and ACLs are flexed. When you bend at the waist, all of your weight is being borne by the MCLs and ACLs in your knees. Now, if you get clipped and you're properly flexed, you're not going to get hurt. You might go down, but you're not going to get hurt. You can get hit from the side or the back. But if you're bending at the waist and now your shoulders are ahead of your knees, your face is in the face off, all your body weight is being held by the tendons in the ACL and the MCL. Now you get clipped. Those are the areas that have to distribute the shock. So we all think we know how to drop the puck. Fine. But you have to look at the face off, you blow the whistle, and now am I bending my knees or am I bending at the waist? If you're bending at the waist, you're putting yourself in danger, and believe me, you're off balance. If you're bending at the knees first, you're safer, and it gives you a real position, a standard to administrate a good face-off.
Well, one of the things that I see a lot of times, I see a lot of the guys putting their face over that puck, and that's a recipe for disaster. You got to get that back straight and get that head back so that you're not getting a stick coming up when these guys decide to do this. So, all right, that's great points, Joe. Should we move on? Let's look at some of the other stuff that you have here. I think I called this one control stops. Oh yeah, hang on, we'll go back.
Scotty. Yep, I'm gonna let you boys finish this up for the night. I do have an engagement with the PTO for my wife that I said I would be there, so I'm gonna go. You guys have good time. I know that Joe's got some videos, and I know that it's all gonna be good. And you know, I learned a lot of stuff from Joe coming up, so I leave you guys in very good hands with Mr. Silz and Mr. Pops Prescott. So I'll see you guys after the holiday. Joe, I'll probably talk to you probably before that because I know I normally call you before the holiday.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I will
Happy Thanksgiving.
attempt to reach out to you. All right?
All right, buddy. All right, we'll talk to
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.
Peace.
Thanks, BB. Thanks a lot.
All right, well, I should have put a picture. If I'd known he was dropping, I would have had a picture of him up there. But you and I can continue with this from here.
Yeah.
Let's look at, I think we're going to look at the control stops here.
Right. Now, here again are some officials going through drills, and you can see that, once again, the knee bend as they stop. They're not throwing their feet into the stop. They have knee bend and proper body position as they stop. And here again, we have a lot of guys that get tired. Like the guy on the right here, obviously had a little bit of a problem, was too high and couldn't come to a complete stop. Yeah, this is the controlled stop, but whatever stop you're doing, you have to get your knees bent. These two officials have very good knee bend. They come in, their heads up, and you can see that they can go in any direction afterwards. But also, they're safe, because if they're near the benches and they're having to have this stop at the line and somebody jumps off or there's a stick there or something, all right, if they get knocked down, they're safe. Versus that guy there on the right, obviously he's too high. He couldn't come to a complete stop. Now, if he's on the benches side and there's a player there, that's going to take his knees out. See how straight up and down he is?
Yeah.
Versus the official right next to him. You see the knee bend on the left side of the screen, and on the right side of the screen, that official went into the stop too high. And so we couldn't get knee bend.
The control stop, if you'll notice the official on the left, if you look at the inside of his left pants leg, he's got snow all over it. And that is from control stops. You're going to get snow in there. Let's see if we back out here and look at some of the other officials. If you see that, where you're going to get that spray coming through. Yep. See how
You can
the
see it right
inside
there.
leg starts to get the snow. That's when you got a control stop going on. You see all the snow there, right there at the bottom on the left leg. That's a good control stop right there. That's a good indicator for you.
And if you can stop the next one, and we'll see. Okay, hold on. All right.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, I'll bring it back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
All right.
you see these guys will not have that spray there. This one got a little bit. The one on the right got a little bit.
Right. But what
Let's
we're
see
looking
here.
for-
Watch these guys. Let's see what they do. A little bit. The one on the right got some spray. The one on the left did not. He did more of a hockey stop there. And
Right.
on the watch the guy on the right here. He doesn't get it. The one on the left does.
Right.
See, the one on the left's got the spray on there. All right, we're gonna look at anything you want to comment on with this, Joe, before we go to the control turns.
Well, with the controlled stop, for those guys that really don't know what we're talking about, the controlled stop is using the inside edges on both skates. The forward skate, you're obviously putting a lot of pressure on, good heel pressure with knee bend. The skate that is on the outside coming into the line or wherever you're stopping, you're on your inside edge, sort of dragging that foot. All right, so that you're on your both of your inside edges, and your inside edges are your power edges. Those are where you get all of your stride, all of your power from. Your outside edges are your turning edges, and so if you're working hockey and you have the opportunity in a game that's 5-0 or a game that's not that much, for your challenge for your skating, just work on this controlled stop.
Or a men's league game. A men's league game is a great place to do it.
Yeah, and believe me, you have to have good knee bend to stop, and it will help you so much when you're on the bench's side. So much, and it is so safe, and it's so good for your skating. Plus, out of this stop, you can go in any direction, forward, back, right, left, anywhere you want to go, and you're ready to go on a dime. But when you are too high or you're just hockey stopping, really, you can only go in two directions. You really can't go forward and back.
Yeah, and I think a big one would be, let's say you're going to go forward and then you're going to transition to backwards, but you're not transitioning in a turn and continuing. You're coming to a stop and then coming backwards, like you're getting up to the blue line and play reverses. If you've got that knee bend, that's where that's really going to come in, and it's really going to help you, and you're really going to shine from that sort of thing.
Right.
So let's look at the we'll look at the control turns now. So here we go with control turns.
All right, and what we're looking at here is see how on every approach to the turn, the hips get lower. And the hips and the knees are executing the turn, not the feet.
And the head is up.
Right.
The head is still looking out, everybody. You're still watching play.
Right. And now in that turn there, the crossover or cross under, whatever you want to call it, gets you back to the boards. I see a lot of people in the 3 official system and even in the 2 official system that are doing controlled turns. And after they take 2 turns, they're turning sort of like the Titanic. I mean, it's very wide, and they don't get back to the boards.
Yeah.
That cross under step at the completion of the turn is vital. But you can't do that if you're just throwing your feet into the turn and the edges are turning. The controlled turn is executed through your hips and your knees, driving the edges. It's not the edges executing the turn by themselves. Because if you just throw your edges to do the turn, you can't cross over or cross under, however you call it, correctly to get back in the boards. And after 2 turns, you're in the middle of play.
Yeah. Edge work is huge, and that control turn allows you to be really tight. Look at how tight that turn is there. You're not coming close to the dot. You're staying in your lane. You're not in no man's land. It's much safer.
Yeah, now here's a long distance up to the center line.
Yep.
Hips come down, and right back into the play. You see, right back away from the play, I should say, to the boards. That final crossover is so important. So for guys refereeing in the 3 official, but also in the 2 official, we're all going to do control turns. This is the time of year we all get kind of lazy, and it's easy just to throw the skates out there and have them turn you. Get your butt down, finish the turn, and cross. Dig back to get back to the boards, to get out of the play. Because if we just throw our skates out after 2 turns, we're in the middle of the ice.
Yep.
And again, that's a habit that we're going to get involved in the play. We're going to get tied up with the players. Plus, you all of a sudden, you know, have stepped on something, or you haven't got the skate sharp in a while. You just throw those skates out, you're going to go flying on your you-know-what.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Get your
Let's
hips
look
down, keep your head up.
The next video we're going to look at is the kind of the blue line signals. I called it the blue line signals when you sent it over, but let's watch some of the, we're going to see the washouts and all that good stuff.
And here you're going to see, you know, there's multiple officials doing this, and there's the perfect example of the do not do. All right, and pretty close. These are young officials that were, you know, working in a camp, and, you know, here's the shutting down play, and there's very important. So this is important that we break down 2 things, Scotty. If we go back to the beginning.
Yep, we are.
And stop it somewhere. Okay, now this official here has some good knee bend. Now he'll signal. All right, comes up a little bit, but you're going to see coming up here.
This guy's going in kind of backwards the wrong way. Basically, he should be turned towards play, I would say.
Yeah, well,
okay.
They're doing it on an angle. That's the reason why they're doing it backwards.
Yeah.
All right, but what I want you to see is, let's see where this guy is that comes in. There he is. Now stop. Now. This official here.
I'm going to back this up just a hair to stop it, because I know what you want to show. See how upright he is?
Yeah. He stopped, and then to signal, he almost stands straight up. Now, again, if you're near the benches, here's a situation where you're going to go over somebody. Plus, when you're like this, you can't go anywhere. When you signal, keep your knees bent. You go into the stop, stay down with your hips down, administrate the signal, and then go off to wherever you have to go. And if you're lining and you're going to stop and just move outside the line, fine. Or if you're in the 2 official system and you're going to stop and signal and move on, you can go either way. But here is what we do, all of us do, unless somebody tells us or we see it on tape or we're very aware that we have to stay down when we're executing the wash-off signal.
Well, I do have to give him some kudos, because he does have a nice washout signal. You notice how his arms are straight out. You don't see that from a lot of the officials. And this is, you know, this is a very nice washout signal. If you're wondering what a washout signal should look like, there you have it. It's pretty even. He might be a little higher on his right arm than he is on his left arm, but he's nice and straight. You know, he's got a good signal there. So, crisp signal. You know that is a washout. He does not look like he's swimming in the pool.
Correct. I agree. Okay, and the next official comes in, does the same thing. See how it goes straight up?
Yeah, he got a little high there, but that's not bad. Not bad.
Okay, now we go to the other part. All right? Anybody that's listening, and if you want to pass this along, watch. Blow the whistle, get it out of your face, and then signal.
Yep.
All right?
It's not you don't do both together ever, especially on an icing. Like when you go down, you've got an icing, you blow your whistle, take it out of your mouth, and then raise your arm. You don't do both at the same time, because you're going to take yourself off balance, and nothing good can happen at that point.
Right. And I get it. In the manuals, they only have one picture for icing, front official, for offsides called, and for goals scored. I'm sorry, they should have 2 pictures because it's a 2-part section. As we move on, continue on, we go past this, you'll see that each of the people shutting the play down at the line blows the whistle, gets it away from their face, and then signals. Blows the whistle, gets it away from their face, and signals. Just like
Right, now,
Scotty said.
I want to go to
Icing
part
is the
2 of
same.
this. So let's
Oh,
go
go
to
ahead.
part 2.
Yeah.
Good
This
knee
is-
bend there.
Yeah. These are signals, and then you have to kind of bugger off and get going. Okay? Now that was a great signal there.
Yep.
Blew the whistle, then signaled, and then you got to bugger off. And the guys that have their knees bent can get out of that position so well. This guy's too high. All right? But all those whistles are being blown. The whistle's away from the face, and then off they go. Scotty said this too. So everybody listen, there's 3 situations where it's a 2-part maneuver. It is not a 1-part maneuver. Scotty brought up the icing. Absolutely correct. Shooting up the arm for the icing doesn't mean anything. You know, we don't have to hurry that at all. We shut down the play when icing is completed, get the whistle out of our face, and then throw up the arm. I see way too many guys with the whistle in their face throwing up the arm. If they catch a rut then, they're going to tear out their front teeth. And there's no need to rush it. On offsides, you shut it down, get it away from your face, and point to the ensuing face-off. And then on goals scored. When a goal is scored, you point, designating that it's scored, and then whistle so the players know. You don't blow the whistle and point at the same time. Once again, if there's a guy that's completed his or her shot and you're pointing with the whistle in your face and they veer off into you, wow, you're just going to be swallowing that Acme Thunderer.
Oh, now it's the call. I'm a fan of the call whistle, so.
Oh, okay, the call. Okay,
That's the P-less whistle. I like that one the best now.
Yeah.
I used to like the Thunderer, but I've switched. You know,
look at
ever
this.
since the
Boom, get that
pandemic, it was
whistle in there.
really easy with the Gator to blow that thing, and it's loud. Guys are able to hear it. I've had some officials that I've worked with where they just don't blow the whistle loud enough, and people can't hear it. You know, play continued or something. You got to hammer that whistle, guys.
Yeah,
there is an art to
absolutely.
throttling. It's called throttle the whistle. Practice it. It's not like that. It's, you know, it's a spurt. We had something else now. We're going. I don't know what you were going to do on this one, Joe, but I'm going to show it anyway. I think this is to show how to come out of the center ice face-off location.
No. There's a stop. There's a stoppage coming up.
Okay.
Here's a stoppage coming up, and look at the linesman on the bottom. That linesman, there's not going to be a problem. That
Yeah, he got in
linesman-
quick. He's
Yeah,
there.
that linesman full strides. The other linesman, not so much. Okay, so watch. Now there's going to be a stoppage, and you look at the 2 linesmen. All right, the linesman on the bottom of the screen. Look at the strides, and at the top of the screen, not so much.
Yeah,
You know?
he got in quickly. He did a good job there.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
And-
in
and
the
let's-
3 or 4 official system, the linesmen, they sometimes, you know, unfortunately today, well, I'm just here to call offsides, drop and get the pucks, and you know, really, doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, the harder you skate, the better it is for our game. And
Right.
you get to situations, you're going to prevent penalty infractions because you're going to be there. They're going to see that striped sweater. And if you get in that habit that every whistle you're taking off like a bat out of hell, you're going to prevent so many problems just by getting there fast.
Let's look at I do want to look at the opening face-off again, because I would like everybody to see, you know, probably the most difficult face-off you are going to have in hockey is when you are having a face-off at center ice. You know, you don't have the easy escape route. You're in the middle of the ice, which we would consider to be no man's land. You don't know who's getting the puck. You don't know how aggressive everybody is going to be behind you. Pucks can get bounced around, and you're kind of sometimes in a bad position. It's not the best place to be. So I want to look at this again, and you see referee dropping that puck, looking behind him, and he sees his opening, and now he's going to get out of there. And he got out of there with no problem. So, nicely done there. But, that is something that officials really need to learn and work on. It is not the easiest. And I know Brad left us, but, Brad is more of a fan. If we go back to the beginning of this, Brad has what he calls the escape route face-off. He may not be as straightforward like a normal end zone face-off. You see how the official is lined up here, dropping the puck. Brad tends to lean out a little bit more and lean his arm in a little bit more to drop that puck, because he's already hoping by the time he gets that puck down, he's already out past those wingers and into the clear. So there's a little different philosophy. I know that's one that Brad has shared with us before. And, here's probably a little bit more the traditional, face-off, watch, and see cut out. And this is what USA Hockey, strives for. That's what they are looking for is for us to get out of there with a nice C cut, looking behind us and getting out safely. And this is I'm guessing, is this a 4 official system? Now I see we've got another official here. Has to be 4. Yeah, it's a 4 official. There he is, because I didn't see the other one come in there. I'm like, yeah, he didn't end up on the other end of the other side of the screen. So yeah, we're going to see the other official come in here. There's our other official.
Okay, and let's watch the stoppage.
Yep.
The linesman bust in, okay? And you see the referee at the top of the screen.
Yep.
The first thing that they're doing is looking at the benches. They've seen that the players are, broken up or not broken up. That official's primary duty is to make sure those benches don't jump. If we have a gathering or something like that, whether it's going to be a penalty situation or not, the referee has to make sure those players aren't jumping on the ice.
Well, that top official, too, if there was a gathering, he's going to be looking for numbers. At that point, it's kind of his job to get those numbers of those players that are involved if you had a gathering down here.
Well, hang on a second. You're talking about the bottom official, the official in the zone.
He's going to, but that top official is going to watch everything else in case he can get the riot pad out if he doesn't have to get in there.
Correct. I agree. You get the riot pad out, but the first thing you have to do is pay your attention to the benches, that nobody is just in a normal line change. In a normal line change, you put your arm and say, go back to the bench. Get off the ice. And if our officials in the 4 would make sure that they have attention of the benches, because I've seen gatherings and scuffles where both referees are down there and nobody's looking at the bench.
Yeah.
And so we have a stoppage. The top referee has to make sure the benches hold. And if they're in the course of a normal line change, you stop them until that gathering is sorted out, because you don't want more players milling around.
Right. You see, he has his arm up, so he's all ready for the face-off. He's probably already indicated that the visiting team is not going to change, and his arm goes up for the home team to change at that point. So if you're wondering what that is, if you're not familiar, maybe you're not a referee, maybe you don't work the 3 or 4 man system, or maybe you're just a fan and you don't know about the line change procedure, here's a great example of it. So it's 5, 5, and 5 in USA Hockey. 5 seconds for the visitors to put somebody on the ice. 5 seconds for the home team to put somebody on the ice. Once the referee's arm has gone up, that concludes the visitors' line change, and it's time for the home team to make their change. And once the home team has made their change, his arm will go down. The linesman will immediately blow the whistle. He will hammer that whistle, and we have 5 seconds for those players to line up for the face-off.
Correct. And once again, a lot of us, are not doing the Wisconsin Badgers or the National Hockey League. In fact, all of us are not. We're working amateur hockey. And in amateur hockey, overwhelmingly, All right, overwhelmingly, the next 10 players from each team is going to be thrown on the ice.
Right.
Referees, all right, you don't have to stand out there like the Statue of Liberty for 10 seconds. The visiting team has put their players on the ice, the arm goes up. The home team has done it, the arm goes down, the linesman blows the whistle. Hey, in 5 seconds,
Move
we're
on.
dropping the rock.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, too many
All right.
referees think that they have to stand out there and let everybody know. No, listen, you're just out there in case there's a line change problem. If they're running through it, it goes up, it goes down, the linesman blows the whistle, we're playing hockey.
Give them the nod and let's go. All right, let's look at, you got a couple other things here, and these look like they were mentor footage shot at Park Ridge. So I have two of them. I'm not sure which one we're going to run first, but let's look at these.
Well, these are just, there's a kid that hustled into the zone, and yeah, they're mentoring situations. These are kids that were just starting out. This is part of the AAU program where we mentor kids during games. There's good knee bend going in, and, kid's got good view of the, he hustled to the goal line. It's just good to see guys that are just starting out, hustling out there. He's backing into the line. Once again, good crossover move there.
He's working hard. He's doing a good job. Look at that. He's done it right. That's nice. Good to see.
Yeah.
Looks like you have some more officials over here. So are you rotating guys in, is what I'm guessing?
Correct. What we do is we have 2 officials out there with 2 mentors, and then in the box we have 2 officials that are going to go out, and every 5 minutes we change up. And the 2 mentors, they are in there talking about them, pointing out things on the ice. When these officials on the ice retire, they go off the ice and review their 5-minute segment with the 2 mentor officials that they had with them.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
I like that.
Yes. Yeah. So we have 6 mentor officials where you have the 2 that just came off, the 2 that are going on, and 2 that are getting ready to step into the box. They'll be the next up after that.
All right, let's do the next one that we have here. So here we have.
Now here this official.
That's blow and drop. That's blow and drop there.
Yeah, he got the whistle away from his mouth. And there
So,
you go.
a few things. Let's just point out a few things. I'm even going to, I'm going to get down and dirty here because one of the things I always say, you need to look like a referee if you're going to be out there. You need to look the part if you're going to do the job. So I'm going to point out, you see this sweater, folks? This is not a mini skirt, okay? If we look across the way, now I can't tell. This one looks like it might be up a little bit higher on the right side, which is good. But this is not a butt cover. This is not a mini skirt. There is a waistband on that. The waistband should be on your waist. It will make you look better out there. It will make you look more professional. I have to point that out. It drives me crazy. It's a pet peeve for me.
No, you're absolutely correct. I pointed this out to an official that's been around a long time the other day, that he has the habit of pulling down on the back of the sweater. I didn't say mini skirt, but that's a good analogy.
Yeah,
it looks sloppy. Yeah, it looks sloppy. It looks awful.
Yep.
But here an official is assessing a penalty, all right? Yep. And then he turns to the crowd to signal the penalty, and you can see that he didn't drop his head on the trip signal.
Right.
That what he did was he bent his knees and then did the trip signal.
Yep.
Okay, blow the whistle, get the whistle away. He moves in. There you go. Now we have a penalty. He blows the whistle, gets the whistle away from his face. When he executes the tripping signal, he doesn't drop his head.
Right. Gets
the number, reports it, blah, blah, blah. Now he turns to the crowd. Here's what I called.
Yep. Now, we need to recognize a few people because we've had some people that have, Alan saying hello to both of us. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate your watching every week. Mark Bialco. Hey, gentlemen. Mark tried to call me while we were on the air. That's the phone you heard going off. And Mr. Smolacek, our good friend. Mr. Sharina and his son, Matt, are awesome people. I played hockey with his son, Matt, as did I. Yeah, great people. Yeah. Wonderful family. And, Matt, we have a lot of fond memories of Mr. Sharina. And Brian also, because he's that kind of guy, said, Happy Thanksgiving to all. I love it. Let's see. Michael Babcock. Let's freaking go, big boy Pops. Send those goofs to the box. Okay. Jack Raz watching. Notice in the video that his mustache is not gray. I think he's referring to Pops' mustache. Just pick that up, I guess.
That video's
Facebook
10
user
years old.
says, keep it up, guys. Good job. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Karen says, I've noticed that Brett Straley has a very unique puck drop routine. He bends his knees going into a squat, completely swivels around to see players positioned behind him, then swivels back for the drop. And that is a great idea because apparently he's not trusting his partner to make sure there's nobody creeping in behind him. I'm the same way. I like to look behind me and make sure these guys are not creeping in because if they are, it's really easy to swing out there and make them go back.
Okay,
so
hold on
that's
one
kind of
second.
where.
First of all, Karen Hyde, what an outstanding individual.
Yes.
But also, if you want to try that move, you're not going to do it if you have your shoulder and head above. You have to have your knees bent to swivel back and swivel forward in one little move.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's good stuff.
Good point.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Joe, we've eaten up an hour here. I can't believe it. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for all of your expertise and insight. Joe is a legend. He's been around forever and, helped write the book, believe it or not, for referees on all this stuff. So there's nobody better to talk to about, doing what we do than Joe because he's got more experience than all of us put together. And, he's been there with the people that have decided on how we should do things. So we really appreciate your always taking the time and coming in prepared. I appreciate all the video clips and stuff. I loved it. I hope everybody out there did. If you did like that, put it in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you enjoyed that. And we will try to incorporate more of that sort of thing into the show as we continue with, other guests as well. So, all right.
I just want to point out that I appreciate all the kindness that the hockey community all shows to me, and we're in Thanksgiving week, and then we'll go into Hanukkah and of course Christmas. There's a lot of people that we know and we care about that there's somebody not going to be at the Thanksgiving table, whether it's Donnie and Barb Albert. I think of a lot of people that we've had, whether it's Brandon Mills,
Brandon,
or Ben Allison. This is also a good time for all of us to count our blessings that we have friends and family that we can tell them we love them and thank them for all they do, and also take a few minutes to remember the really good people that aren't going to be sitting around that Thanksgiving table. And
I was thinking about that the other day. We've lost we lose quite a few referees. And when you think about, we probably only have 1,000, 1,100 of us. And, to see somebody dropping out one or two every year, it's a lot, by comparison, I think. That's my personal opinion, but, it's sad. But, we do think about your fellow referees and all that good stuff. And one of the guys that loves to give back is Jack Raz, and God bless. And, thank you for that, Jack.
Right.
And,
So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. God bless you, and be safe out there on the ice. Work hard. Enjoy it. It's the greatest game anywhere.
Amen to that. I will second that. Nothing better than hockey. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. We do this every Monday. If you'd like to support the channel, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/referee and buy us a little caffeine to keep us going. It is always appreciated. Joe, it is appreciated that you have been here and sharing all of your expertise and years of experience with us. We truly appreciate and value you, and I hope to see you on the ice soon. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with you recently a number of times, so it's been fun, and we have to keep that tradition going. So, Mr. Razlowski, I haven't seen you in a while, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I haven't had a game with you, so you need to get yourself on one of my games, please. Or me get on one of your games. I can't do that. You can get on one of my games. I can't get on one of yours. So,
all right.
All right.
Thanks
all right, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next Monday, 5:30 p.m. right here, Chicago time. Peace out, everybody.